Hello again. Wow, this is the week before Christmas. In the United States, we celebrate Christmas on December the 25th. And so, it is not the day that Jesus was actually born, but it's just a day that we recognize and celebrate his birth. So, this week, what I want to do is I want to take time and really grab lessons out of the Christmas story. So often we see all these beautiful mangers and we hear about the songs and we hear how the angels came, but do we really put it all together to understand the magnificence of this story, the magnificence of what God did in sending his son in the form of man, and how all of this transpired at exactly the perfect moment in time? And so today we're just going to start on the story of Christmas. And the story of Christmas starts in Luke 1. And so that you understand the full story, you have Mary and Joseph, okay? And they are engaged. They're going to be married. And you have Mary's cousin, Elizabeth, and her husband, Zacharias. Well, they are older now and have never been able to have children. But an angel comes to Zacharias. And so I want you to hear this story and think about what we're going to share in just a moment. This is the birth of John the Baptist. In the days of Herod the Great, king of Judea, there was a certain priest whose name was Zacharias, of the division of Abijah. His wife was a descendant of Aaron, the first high priest of Israel, and her name was Elizabeth. They both were righteous and approved in the sight of God, walking blamelessly in all the commandments and requirements of the Lord. But they were childless, because Elizabeth was barren, and they were both far advanced in years. Now it happened while Zacharias was serving as priest before God in the appointed time of his priestly division, as was the custom of the priesthood, he was chosen by lot to enter the sanctuary of the temple of the Lord and burn incense. And all the congregation was praying outside in the court temples at the hour of the incense offering. And the angel of the Lord appeared to him, standing to the right of the altar of incense. And when Zacharias saw the angel, he was troubled and overcome with fear. But the angel said to him, "Do not be afraid, Zacharias, because your petition and prayer was heard, and your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you shall name him John. You will have great joy and delight, and many will rejoice over his birth, for he will be great and distinguished in the sight of the Lord, and will never drink wine or liquor, and he will be filled with the empowerment to act by the Holy Spirit while still in his mother's womb. He will turn many of the sons of Israel back from sin to love and serve the Lord their God. It is he who will go as a forerunner before him in the spirit and power of Elijah. And the disobedient to the attitude of the righteous, which is to seek and submit to the will of God." And Zacharias said to the angel, "How will I be certain of this? For I am an old man, and my wife is well advanced in age." And the angel replied and said to him, "I am Gabriel, and I stand and I minister in the very presence of God, and I have been sent by him to speak to you and to bring you the good news. And listen carefully. You will be continually silent and unable to speak until the day when these things take place, because you did not believe what I told you, but my words will be fulfilled at their proper time." The people outside were waiting for Zacharias and were wondering about his long delay. But when he did come out, he was unable to speak to them, and they realized that he had seen a vision in the temple. And he kept making signs to them and remained mute. When his time of priestly service was finished, he returned to his home. Now after this, his wife Elizabeth became pregnant, and for 5 months she secluded herself completely, saying, "This is how the Lord has dealt with me in the days when he looked with favor upon me to take away my disgrace among men." So what I want you to hear here is John was preparing the way for the Lord, and his time was set forth at a perfect time. It was a God-designed time. It couldn't happen earlier and it couldn't happen later. It had to happen right then. And he was going to be born 6 months ahead of Jesus. Why? Because that's what God destined, that he had to be born 6 months ahead of Jesus. And so Zacharias was about his business. He was doing what he knew he was called to do in the priestly duty. And guess what? The angel of the Lord met him there. God met him there while he was doing his daily duties, what he was supposed to do. And even after God had met with him and told him what was to come, he went back and continued his priestly duties. That shows me that Zacharias and Elizabeth were faithful. He could have left when he was mute and just said, "I'm going home. I'm going to go home and spend time with Elizabeth and we're going to make a baby." No, he didn't rush out and try to force the plan of God. He stayed and continued and did what he was called to do. In your place of faithfulness, God will meet you right there. You continue to do what God has called you to do, and he will meet you right there at the appointed time. You're not going to be too early. You're not going to be too late. There is so much that we can learn from the story of Christmas. Let's take time this week and really delve into it. And when we celebrate on December the 25th, it's not going to be just, "Oh, what are all the gifts?" We're going to celebrate his birthday, and we're going to celebrate the meaning behind his birth and the meaning for each one of us. Know that he loves you so much. Know that we love you, that we're praying for you. We want you to continue to send us in your prayer requests, your comments, your concerns, your suggestions. Let's stay connected to each other and to the vine.